Good afternoon, everybody. Hey, Verl Workman here, Big V from Salt Lake City, Utah, Workman Success Systems, welcoming you to another one of RISMedia's ACE webinar series. Today we have an unbelievable, and when I say unbelievable, it's going to be an action-packed, fun webinar for you today, titled What to Say, When to Say It. There's scripts and dialogues of some of the most successful agents and team leaders in North America. This webinar is brought to you by ACE, which is RISMedia's automated content engagement platform, by Homes.com and by Outbound Engine. So along with Workman Success Systems, we want to welcome you all to today's call. I'm going to ask you all to find the seat belts on the sides of your chairs at your desks and strap in because you're in for a fantastic event. I want to thank you for taking time out of your busy day to be here. You know, I first want to introduce our partners. So let me get there real fast. As a quick reminder, just from a housekeeping perspective, I'm going to encourage all of you to stay on till the very end of the webinar. At the end of the webinar, what's going to happen is I'm going to give you a website that you can go to, and you'll be able to download the actual scripts and dialogues that will be shared with you on today's call, along with some other very valuable content. If you have questions during the call, then I'm going to encourage you to just use your questions tab on your control panel of GoToWebinar. When you click on the question, you can type in your question, and I'll be monitoring those questions during the call, as will our other co-sponsors. And so during the call, we're going to ask some questions of our guests as they're sharing with us when they use certain scripts, the kind of results they get, and how they present to their clients to have a higher level of conversion with the different types of clients that they work with. So make sure you stay till the end. So I want to welcome one of our great sponsors and often contributor to these webinars, Homes.com. And we have Tim Bavara here, who's the sales manager for Homes.com. Tim, thanks again for being a partner and helping us put on this great webinar today.
Well, Verl, thanks for having us this afternoon. We're so excited to be part of this here at Homes.com. And again, we want to thank you for the opportunity just being on here with you guys.
Well, that's great. So tell me what Homes.com's up to. I have a long, awesome history with Homes.com and have been a fan for a long time.
Well, we've been in the business over 18 years, and what we're doing is we're helping real estate brokers and agents with their online marketing, providing inquiries, and of course, just branding and exposure. And you know, when consumers are doing online searches for homes, Homes.com primarily comes at the very top of every search engine result. But we've been in the business helping agents and brokers with their online exposure, and so Homes.com is definitely making a difference online.
What kind of traffic are you guys getting? Are you getting a lot of internet traffic?
We get a significant amount of traffic. Organically, you know, we do come up ranked number 1 through 5, and that's on all search engines, Google, Yahoo, MSN, and Bing. And, you know, 90% of the page views that consumers are actively searching for the next home, with, you know, 76% of Homes.com visitors are not even working yet with a real estate professional. So we are getting a great amount of traffic, unique visits, and we are providing some quality leads. You know, we also focus, you know, just providing, you know, inquiries, all the information we can give real agents and brokers on our quality that we have here at Homes.com.
That's awesome. I think that's a really important. I'm going to go back one slide for just a second.
Sure.
76% of your visitors are not working with an agent. And I think it's important that we spend a second and make sure that agents understand that. So many people that are online looking, and they're using different portals, but they're already engaged with a realtor, but the majority of your visitors are not. Why do you think that is?
Well, I mean, it's just like with anybody else. I mean, 89% of people doing any type of real estate research are beginning online. They go to Homes.com. I mean, they have no clue what they're looking for. They're just looking for a home. And so we do generate a lot of that traffic that's coming in where they don't have a real estate professional. And the good thing is that, you know, we have people, you know, that we have agents that are on our website that will call them, that will attempt to qualify, pre-qualify, work with them. And so we do have a good response in terms of people doing home searches. And so, you know, again, it's a great advantage for anybody that's doing online research, and as they're looking for a real estate agent, we want to match them up with that agent right away.
Well, I think that's really important. And is it hard to get involved with Homes.com? What's the process?
It's not hard at all. I mean, basically what we do is we just talk to the agent. You know, we go over some, you know, options and ideas here with them, and they pretty much give us the areas they want to focus on in terms of, you know, getting their exposure on. And to get on with this, it's pretty simple. You know, we have a free profile you can sign up with, and we also have some subscribe programs that you can sign up with. Basically, it just takes about a 5-minute phone call just to go over a couple things on how we get somebody on board.
Well, I appreciate that. And once again, I want to say thank you for being part of our series today. Andrew Satan is the Director of Marketing with Outbound Engine. Andrew, have you made it on the call? I know that Andrew had a problem getting into the call today. So Outbound Engine is a phenomenal content marketing company. And what Outbound Engine does is they make your online marketing really simple. One of the biggest challenges in doing follow-up or drip content marketing is having content that's actually branded to you that you don't have to write. And that's what Outbound Engine does. If you have a minute to take and go to the website of outboundengine.com, it gives you the ability to showcase your expertise, to build better relationships, and have automated campaigns delivered directly to your social media channels on your. And on behalf of all of us at ACE, with RISMedia's ACE program, with Workman Success Systems, we encourage you not just to say, oh, thanks for sponsoring the webinars, but we want you to actually go in, take a look at the programs. If they're part of our program, then the way you say thank you for putting these on is to go in and at least give them a good, sincere look. And so thank you, Tim, and for Andrew for being here. And Tim, I encourage you to be engaged during the webinar, ask questions.
Yeah.
I know you run a call center. We're going to talk about what it's like being on the phones, and you got some great callers here. They're going to be on this webinar today.
Awesome. Looking forward. Excited.
All right, so we've got 3 great guests today, and all 3 of these guests happen to be coaching clients and coaches for Workman Success Systems. And when I say coaching clients, that means that we help them in their businesses grow. All 3 of our guests have significant 7-figure income real estate practices where they run successful teams. And what's exciting about our guests is they're all in 3 different, very unique markets, and they all have different business models. And they're going to share with you some different ideas of what makes things work. And I'll introduce each guest as I bring them on and talk about their scripts. My first guest is Mark Seiden. Mark is from Westchester County, New York, and Mark runs a fantastic team. Mark, welcome to the call today, and tell us a little bit about your team.
Well, sure. We have a team. We have 4 agents right now looking for more. We have 1 listing partner, 1 senior buyer agent, and 2 other buyer/showing agents. And just with those 4 agents, we're going to do under 100 transactions with 4 people.
100 transactions with 4 people is pretty significant, and congratulations on.
I appreciate that. Thanks.
So talk to us about the big question.
You know, the interesting thing about the big question is that, you know, usually when we go on listing presentations or even buyer presentations, a lot of times the consumer will just assume that everything is just commission-based, especially on the listing side. It's just commission-based. What's your commission? What's your commission? What's your commission? So we don't answer that question with an answer. We say, okay, before we answer that question, we just have one little question. Do you think your home will sell for the same price no matter which agent you select? And every time, I cannot think of a time that we've ever asked that question that somebody ever came up with an answer right away. It usually just gets them to completely rethink everything they're talking about because they've never really thought of that before. And then when we go into that, and it's a much longer script that we won't do here, but we really go into that, is really comparing us to doctors and lawyers, especially lawyers. Because the lawyers work from the exact same database, just like real estate agents work from the exact same database. The lawyers work from the law. So they can look up the law, and the law is the same for everybody. Well, isn't the MLS? The data, you could go in the MLS and the database is the same, so you start with the same data. Does that mean all lawyers are the same?
Right.
And it's one of the best objection handling techniques ever when you're talking about either commission or should you be the best agent for them to represent them in a sale or a buyer.
So Mark, I want to step backwards just a minute, and I'm going to ask you, how much does your team literally get down and practice a script or a dialogue so that when they're in front of a client, they can ask this question and not have it sound canned?
Well, we have Tuesday morning meetings. So every Tuesday, at least once a week, we're, may have a guest lecture or do anything like that, but we're constantly doing role-playing and scripts and dialogues. And because we have so many scripts, I think we're up to 14 different scripts, not including the one thing that has 22 different objection handling techniques. My agents have actually come to me and said, we really need more practice with this. Starting next week, we're actually going to be starting 4 days a week from 8:30 to 9:30 just doing an hour role play, and we're going to pick 1 or 2 scripts, and we're going to role play that 4 days a week. So once you really have the scripts and the agents actually see the scripts, hear the scripts, say it once or twice, they actually want to role play because they love the information. It takes everything off their list, off their shoulders.
Yeah, I think it's awesome that you do that with them. What kind of confidence does it give them when they go out? Have you noticed a difference in the way they perform when they're practicing?
Oh, it absolutely does. And the interesting thing is what I tell the agents. It's not what you know. It's how you perceive yourself and what the consumer thinks that you know. And I said, really, sales is almost like being an actor. So, you got to go out there and play Hamlet. Now, you can go out there and read Hamlet. You could open up a book of Shakespeare and Hamlet, and you could read Hamlet or read Romeo and Juliet, Juliet, where art thou, O Juliet? Well, you just quoted Shakespeare, but is it Shakespeare? So if you go out and you become Shakespeare, that's when you get the applause, and that's when you get the big money.
Absolutely true. All right, so in preparation for this call, when I asked you to do this call, that you had kind of an aha moment about getting your scripts in order.
Yeah, I did. I've actually, as I said, I have scripts all over the place, but the challenge was that's exactly where they were. They were all over the place. I had them on this drive and that drive and saved over here and under this person and that person, and it's like, you know what? I always have to have these scripts on my fingertips, but it always took me too long to figure out where I had them if someone needed them. So this actually just made me kind of put all my scripts and all my dialogues into one digital folder. And then actually what I did is I just printed them all out, and I actually created a folder for each of my agents. I literally just printed them out and gave them to all my agents. But now if one gets tattered, one gets missing, whatever, I actually created just a good old-fashioned ugly loose leaf notebook with the good old-fashioned ugly plastic tabs that you stick little papers in. Nothing fancy. But I just have 5 of each scripts in that book, and every Tuesday morning meeting or anytime we're all together, I just bring my loose leaf binder with me. So if someone needs it, it's at my fingertips. Here it is. Go make some money.
I love it. Share with us some of your favorite scripts.
Well, my favorite script is really, we call it the surgeon or the doctor script, but we really have objection handling for everything, and I think that's what we put up here, is that I actually ended up being almost 30 pages or 25 or 26 pages of just mostly the basic objections that buyers and sellers have and what the answers would be. And I have to tell you, it's not that I'm that brilliant. I'm really not that brilliant, but I ask a lot of people a lot of questions at a lot of seminars. I go online. I'm on a lot of Facebook chat rooms, and I've asked people for their scripts and dialogues, and I've just gotten a ton of them and got a lot of them for Rural Workman. I've gotten some from old coaches, and all I did is I just took a project week and I just literally put them all together and found out what I liked the most and just retyped them on my own, and now we've got a great database of scripts. But our favorite ones, I think it may be the next slide, I can't remember, is basically those are our all-purpose scripts. And we basically have one really comparing us to an attorney and comparing us to a surgeon. And the attorney script, again, is, goes with the big question, do you really think your property is going to sell for the same price no matter which agent you select? And we go into right there what's called the attorney script. Because, again, the law is just a database and the MLS is just a database. Now what? And that's a really great script. The surgeon script we use, not that any of us are as brilliant as a surgeon who spent 427 years in medical school, but the surgeon script becomes really important because we tell people that it works with people's health, and just because everybody has a medical degree, does that mean all cardiologists are the same? So does it not make a difference who's going to cut your chest open and help with your heart? And when you're talking about real estate, and one of our best scripts, it's actually not even there, but it's on a different one that's not up there, we use hundreds of thousands of dollars is what we're talking about in the asset that you're buying or selling. That's our standard script that goes with the surgeon script. So just because everybody has a medical degree, What do you call the worst doctor in medicine? Doctor. Is that the doctor you want to deal with?
No.
So when you're talking about hundreds of thousands of dollars for an asset that you're buying or selling, does it really not make a difference which agent you're using to represent you? And these are our all-purpose scripts.
I love that. Tell me how you sell the team. You know, a lot of people when you're working with, a lot of people that are on the call are thought about or thinking about building a team, and they suffer from nobody can do it as good as me syndrome, and they don't know how to sell the team concept. How would you apply a script like that in selling the team?
It really actually goes right back to attorneys and doctors all over again. The most egotistical, highest paid people on the planet, pretty much, I mean, except for some of the Wall Street people, are doctors and lawyers. So doctors specialize. So, and what they do is they do whatever they can do not to do everything. So they do what's called doctor's work. And they found everything that has to become in medicine, what a doctor really doesn't need to do. So if a doctor who is very specialized in medical and people's bodies are that important, and they can find a way to separate out what they need to do versus hiring extremely important and extremely specialized help. Because I always tell people, you know how good a doctor is without great nurses? They're lousy. So you have to hire the right people and have the right support, but doctors don't need to take blood pressures. Doctors don't need to take blood. Doctors don't need to weigh you. Doctors don't need to do a lot of things. Doctors need to do doctor work. Same thing with a real estate agent. Real estate agents don't have to go to town hall to get taxes and property cards and put up signs and make keys. A lot of times they don't even have to show properties. We have trained showing agents. They show properties. So our buyer agents are selling a lot of real estate, not showing properties. They're doing doctor work, negotiating, exclusive right to represent, and all the stuff that doctor work needs to be done as an agent.
I love that. I mean, I remember last time I went into the dentist, I had this very interesting feeling of how weird it would be if the dentist actually greeted me and then asked me for my credit card and my insurance policy. And then I sat down and the hygienist came in and cleaned my teeth, asked me what the problem was, and then somebody else came and took pictures. The dentist came in for a couple of minutes, filled the hole and left, and I got billed as if I was with the dentist for 2 hours.
Correct.
And I really
but that's how one does a volume business, but yet all the work gets done, because a dental hygienist is not someone that's a $2 an hour job that you just get off the street. It's a very highly trained person that learns what to do, how that dentist wants to do it. But once you have those people, now how many more patients can that dentist see a day? Because they don't have to spend an hour with a patient, they only have to spend 10 minutes with the patient.
Yeah, that's a great analogy, and I actually felt like I got a better experience because I didn't really like the dentist as much as I liked the hygienist.
No, that's correct. And the interesting thing is if you have one dentist that's doing everything, you actually feel rushed because they got to get in and get to the next patient, next patient, next patient. When you actually have people helping you, your clients actually feel like they have a lot more time with people, and they also have more people to call. So in case they have a question, if there's a deal and something is urgent, they don't have to try to track down the agent that's now in the tax office where there's no cell number. They've got 2 or 3 people on the team that they can call to calm them down. Because if you ever called a doctor's office attempting to get a hold of your doctor if you're feeling horrible, can you ever get directly right to the doctor? Or are there other people that can help you first before the doctor has to get involved?
There's always others, and usually they're better at that part of the process.
That's how the team approach works.
So how do you deal with the price objection, Mark? I'm talking about a script or dialogue, and I know you have it, but when someone says another agent will do it for less, tell me how you respond.
Yeah, well, the first kind of category, Mark, is, well, you do get what you pay for, but sometimes I actually repeat the exact same objection handling scripts all the time. So I'll say, okay, well, let me ask you the same question again. Do you think you're going to sell your house for the same price no matter which agent you select? So we've sold this many houses in this area, or you've got me as a referral that this person, said I got him this kind of price. You may be able to save $3,000 in commission from another agent. Yes, you can. But what if I can show you how I've been able to sell other people's houses for $5, $10, or $15,000 more than the typical agent. Would you spend $3,000 to make 10?
Yes.
Right. And the keys for scripting, this is the most key thing I could ever tell everybody. Great scripting always, without exception, ends with a question. Never a statement. Would you like to know why?
That's a great question.
The reason is because people's brains always have to answer the question that you give them. They may not say it, their face may not say it, but they may not verbalize it. Their brain must answer. So if you end with a question, that is how you get them to self-actualize what you're saying. You ready? Doesn't that make sense? Now I just did that to everybody.
It totally makes sense. Now, how much recruiting have you done over the last several years as far as outbound calls, trying to get agents to join your team, that type of thing?
Yeah, I'm terrible.
And so
I'm
talk to me
probably
about
the worst recruiter on the planet. I'm good at it when I need to be. It's just not high on my priority list. Just like every other agent on the planet, you know, we have some things that we love to do, and we'll change our business, and we'll jump on this and jump on that, and let's change this and do that. And recruiting for me is what I've been told for 10 years that I have to do better, and went to classes and this and that, and it's just never been great. So on one of our calls, actually with you, Verl, we really came up with, since we do use Boomtown, and they have a texting program on Boomtown, which is great, and you can put up texting templates and so on and so forth, we created, you and I together, created 10 texts that I'm sending out every 2 weeks, so it's, you know, almost a half a year's worth of texting as a recruiting. And we went into the database, and I, you know, gave a criteria for one of my assistants to go into the MLS and pull agents' names based on the criteria, so I didn't have to do it. I just pulled the criteria. So I had an assistant go in and pull all the agents' information. I had them put them all into Boomtown, and I have an agent texting to recruit for all of Boomtown. Guess how much time that's taken me? 1 hour to create the criteria.
And what has that done for your attitude towards having agent interviews? What kind of results are you getting?
Well, once I would get someone who called and wants to talk to me, I actually get really excited, just like if it's a listing presentation. But it's the slugging through of calling, hey, how you doing? Are you happy where you are? Gee, are you making enough money? Making those calls was torture for me. So now I'm actually just being able to take the cream off the top, even though the texting going out, it's all coming from me. It's not coming from my assistant. It's coming from me. Mark Seiden from the Boomtown system is texting all these other agents. So they are receiving a text from Mark Seiden. So when the responses come in, sure, I'd love to talk to you. Wow, that's a great idea. Gee, maybe. Now I just get to deal with the people that may want to talk with me. Well, that I'll do any day of the week.
Yeah, what I wanted to do is just give you, you know, there's more than one right way to do things. And if you don't like calling people, I'm okay with that. Let's find other ways to communicate with them. And by having a script or by having a pre-done plan, it's given somebody like Mark the ability and permission to recruit without actually doing the thing that he dreads the most. And as a result, you're generating more at-bats, you're having more presentations. What's that look like to you now?
Oh, I think I've gotten more agent interviews, with more coming in the last 3 weeks than I probably had in the last 5 years. So, gee, I guess it has not been a game changer, has it? My goodness.
Well, I love it. And Mark, I hope you'll stay with us. I love your dialogue, and I love the way you talk to people. Stay with us, because I'm probably going to go back and forth between each of you as we get going through this. But I want to introduce one of my favorite dialogue people in the entire country, and that's Julie Timms from Hilton Head, South Carolina. Julie, welcome to the call.
Oh, thank you, Verl. It's good to be here.
Well, I'm excited that you're here. And Julie was just was displaced from her home and her business while the hurricane ripped through Hilton Head, and I'm glad to hear she's back in her house and removing trees and cleaning up the yard. So we're glad that you're all safe, Julie.
Oh, definitely. Thank you. We're truly blessed and highly favored, and Hilton Head not only survived, but the community came together, and it's awesome. So thank you for your concern.
Well, we love you, and I got to tell you that the one thing, as I'm talking, before we do these calls, we always do a preliminary, and we kind of go through what we're going to talk about on the webinar. And when you hear Julie talk about her scripts and what she says to people, I just want you to know that they will work for most of you, but for people like me who do not sound as sweet as Julie, you may not be able to pull some of it off. I think it's unbelievable that she's able to combine the toughness of being a really strong salesperson and have it sound so sweet using proven scripts and dialogues. So Julie, first I want to talk to you about your team. Tell me a little bit about your team. What does your team look like in Hilton Head?
Well, my team in Hilton Head has about 16 people on it, and we have 8 agents, buyer's agents, and then I do the listings myself. We have another one of the 8 that is an independent agent, and then we have a team of 5, well, I guess that's counting me, and then we have another team that is the support staff, and they just take care of all those things, as Mark was saying, as we get to do doctor duties or realtor duties. We don't run keys around and papers around and go to the courthouse and put signs in yards and do things like that. We just concentrate on buyers and sellers. And we have a terrific team with terrific core values, and we always when we analyzed our company, it came out you first, which means our clients are always first, and we put you in a perfect place, which means that not only do we find you the perfect house, but you put you in perfect mental capability to know, or status. Sorry, my mental status is a little off these days because it's hurricane, but perfect place as far as what you've done right, that you're in the place that you're going to love to make and grow memories, and it's worked really well for us.
So Julie, one of the things that is fascinating about your business is you deal with a lot of high net worth individuals. Is that true?
We do. We deal with all types of people, not only high worth individuals, but all folks really, and all of them are the same to me.
You treat everybody the same, and that's really important. How much do you practice scripts and dialogues with your team?
Well, we don't practice as well as Mark does, and I'm sitting here making notes with him, so any of my associates, watch out, scripts are coming. No, we do practice. We have the Thursday roll call with you where we practice dialogues, and we come up with new things all the time. We're talking in our sales meetings about how we can say it better and do it better. Every Wednesday we have a sales meeting, and some kind of script usually comes up.
I love that. So you deal with a lot of, and because I know Julie's business intimately, we've been working together for a few years now. I know her business well. One of the things that I noticed is that she has a very high conversion rate in dealing with online generated leads. A lead that would come from a homes.com or a Boomtown or Tiger Leads or one of the high volume lead generators. Julie's team does a really good job at getting people to call them back. Talk to me about the stealth inventory script.
The stealth inventory script, well, we usually use the stealth inventory script when we're working with expireds and for sale by owners, and we generally call them up and ask them, is your house still on the market, or how's it going? And they say, oh, fine, I'm not going to list with a realtor. And we go, well, that's fine. We're not looking for it. We're just looking for the stealth inventory out there. And they say, stealth inventory, what's that? And I say, well, it's that stuff, those houses that just fly under the radar where nobody can see them in the MLS, so they don't get sold. And one of the things that we like to do, because we represent so many buyers at our company as well as sellers, is we like to make sure that we're doing the best job possible to know everything out there so we can do the best job that we can. And so it tends to work. It makes people think.
Yeah, I love that. Here's a copy of what that script looks like in working with an expired.
Yeah, and I always use their name. Is this Bill or is this Mr. Smith? A lot of times, if you use is this William, then he's going, yeah, who's this telemarketer calling? So I try to look a little bit, do some research on folks before I call them or before we call them, just to make sure that we know who we're talking to and what their specific needs are, because it is all about them and us being able to.
That is so true. When anybody calls and asks for Vern, I know that they don't know who I am.
Vern.
Fern or
Who
Verrill.
put those dead? Yeah, Fern. Who put those dead bananas on a pizza? No, never mind. That's a long time ago.
Let's talk about your attitude towards internet leads.
All right. Well, first of all, there's no such thing as a bad lead. I mean, people have, unless they're in prison on the internet trying to look at fun houses to rob later, they're usually somebody who is interested in buying or selling real estate now or the near future. And, so many people just start on the internet and they look, and you've got to keep in touch with them at all the times. It's not a matter of if they're interested, it's a matter of when they're able. And if you try to push them too hard and you try to sell them something, that commission breath is going to come across in your presentation. And so what you need to realize is these people have their own time frames, their own goals and objectives, and once you can find out what that is, you're in a better place to serve them and to serve yourself. The last thing you want to do is drive somebody around for 4 days when they're ready to buy in 6 years, because it's just not going to be the same on the market. And this little gauge my husband Bernie has put together is we're talking about the average days to contract would be 462 for us from the time somebody first comes on the website until they close. Average day or till their contract, average days to close 571. The mean days is 443. The greatest, we had somebody on for 2,738 days before they finally bought something, and then the least number of days is 20. So that'll just show you, as long as you can help people, give them the information that they want when they want it, and answer them honestly and truthfully with putting them before you, then you're going to win.
So there's a couple.
And they are too.
First of all, I love the charting and the tracking. How important is knowing your numbers and knowing how long it takes to convert and tracking things in your business to you?
Well, as I heard somebody very wise say one time, a ship with no rudder, no wind is favorable. So you've got to know what you're up against, or what the reality of the market that you're in looks like, as well as it teaches patience, and it teaches different methods and different systems for working with these people to help them achieve their goals.
So two of my favorite Julieisms, and you can tell us what that means. What is commission breath?
Oh, commission breath, that means you can smell it a mile off. That's somebody who doesn't give a rip about you and just wants to get a commission. And that's the way a lot of people see real estate people, because unfortunately in the real estate business, as we all know, it's way too easy to get in this business, and it's way too easy to get out of this business. And because everybody's on, or most people are on a commission, it feels to some people, especially if they're pushed too hard, that all you care about is money, and you're getting their money into your pocket, and that's what I call commission breath.
All right, and will you describe for everybody what a Pop-Tart realtor is?
Oh, a Pop-Tart realtor? That's somebody who, a Pop-Tart realtor is, actually I heard that from Howard Brenton many years ago, but a Pop-Tart realtor is somebody who calls in and you just pop right up and say, what can I do for you? Where can I go? Let me get my keys. Last time they saw Julie, she was walking out of the office with 2 terrorists with her keys. Can't do that. You got to find out more about people.
Just don't drop everything.
Don't be a Pop-Tart.
I love that.
Yeah, don't be a Pop-Tart.
I love that. So Julie, talk to me about the slide Words Matter.
Okay, what this slide is all about is the word, and I thought it was really a wonderful picture, because what you need to do with your words with people is embrace them, to know that, number one, you have their best interest at heart and that you care about them. You know, I don't know how many folks have read The Greatest Salesman of the World in the World by Og Mandino, but it's really a wonderful book. It's very thin, it's a parable, and then it has 10 scrolls to live by. And this one is really scroll number 2. But it says, I will greet each day with love in my heart. So as you go through people and you have love in your heart, and you look for the green flags with people, not the red flags, and just make sure that you are listening to them and helping them as you would want to help a family member. And always just say, maybe silently to yourself, I love you, it'll soften your face, soften your eyes, soften your tone, and it will really help you get into being able to help people, because people don't care what you know till they know what you care, that you care, and then they really care what you know. So, if that makes any sense.
It absolutely does make sense. And I can tell just by talking to you, you make me feel good about myself and how much you care. How you say things, and especially in text or in print, or your voice fluctuation matters, doesn't it, Julie?
Oh, it absolutely matters, because remember, people are thinking what they're thinking, and they've already got an impression of the industry as a whole, and then they have an impression of you as you're speaking. And so they may be thinking one thing, and you are thinking another. There's so many people that want to finish your sentences and talk over you, and just step on you all the time, and you step on people all the time, and you've got to be conscious of how you're being interpreted. And just think, here in this slide, I used it as an example. If you're trying to ask them, hey, what kind of a sandwich do you want for lunch? Turkey? And they hear, what kind of sandwich do you want for lunch? Turkey. Okay? It's just such a different way of this. The words are all the same, but the meaning is very different. The inflection in your voice, the words that you choose. How can I assist you today is better than what do you want? You know, so that you just have to be kind and have love in your heart.
I love that. Julie, stay with me. We're going to talk to Sarah for just a minute and learn a little bit about how she incorporates scripts and dialogues with her team. But I'm going to have some questions for all of you as we get towards the end of the call today. You okay staying with us?
Absolutely.
I love it. All right. Well, everybody welcome Sarah Goldie. Sarah lives just outside of Fort Lauderdale, Florida, but she runs a team in the Baltimore, Maryland area, and has a very, very successful team. Sarah, tell us a little bit about your team.
We have a team of, we have 4 agents right now, one of whom is a lead agent, and then we also have a kind of day-to-day operations manager. We have 3 admin and 3 field people. I think we're on track to do 176 transactions this year, which is 50 more units than last year, so we're growing exponentially again, which is wonderful. We do 1 meeting a week with our manager and 1 meeting a week with our lead agent, and then they just do a daily check-in with the other agents on the team. They probably could practice scripts more, but they do it about 3 days a week is the expectation, and we do check up on that during our weekly meeting with them. So that's kind of what our stuff looks like.
Well, I love that. And by the way, Sarah is not only a coach for Workman Success, she also leads our script role-play calls from time to time on Thursdays that we hold every Thursday, where teams have their agents call in and we practice scripts and dialogues, and we always get just phenomenal feedback when Sarah's our presenter on those calls. So we appreciate you doing that. So talk to us about, yeah, well, we love you. So talk to us about some of the scripts that you actually use, and like something as simple as getting a buyer agreement signed, and why that's so important.
Well, one of the reasons we've decided to really focus on this with our team is actually a legal change in our state where you have to have a buyer's agreement in place to work with the buyer. There used to be presumed buyer's agency, and that no longer exists in our state, and so that has really had to become a focus for our team, and it's a great focus. I'm really excited about that legal change, actually. So that's become something we're working on, and I really enjoy doing it. When I was actively putting buyers in my car, it was fun. I enjoyed it. So it's one of my favorite parts of real estate.
So why do you think agents don't do it?
I think they're scared. I think it's actually you I've heard say it before. People always worry someone's going to say no, and really the worst has already happened. They're already not in your car going to look at houses with you. So why wouldn't you have that conversation with them and make that relationship with them? It is not a marriage, but it is protecting their interests and protecting your interests. So there's really no reason not to get that agreement in place. It's really doing yourself a disservice to spend time and really spend money even to go show buyers houses if you're not going to get that commitment from them. It is a two-way street.
So take us through the initial consultation and kind of the process you'll take a client through.
So what we always like to do is have them meet us in the office first, and there's a couple reasons for that. One is it kind of sets a standard of professionalism. You're able to get a copy of their driver's license, so that's a safety thing. You know, being a a lot of female agents are aware of like the need to really care about safety, and male agents too, but it's especially been driven home in the news in the past few years for us. So we always say meet in the office, just because it's a place where there are people, you can get a copy of their ID. Well, even more importantly, it's so you can sit and have a conversation with them and really spend time to listen to them without standing in someone's house who's waiting to get back in there with their dog or with their kids or whatever. It's just not as rushed, and so you can actually listen to understand and hear what they say. So we do that first meeting. The most important thing in the very first step is you do a wants and needs analysis. You really need to listen to what they're saying, because they may say, I want a 2-bedroom, I want a 1-bathroom, and I don't need a yard. And then you start talking to them about what their goals are, what their concerns are, and maybe it turns out they don't feel like they can afford more than that, so that's what they're limiting to, because they don't know what prices are in the market. And so it's really quite important to understand what exactly it is they're looking for and what their motivation is. This is also a great time, if you're working with a couple, to talk to both of them, because they may have a different idea of what's really important. And so you have to look at those two things and merge it into, okay, this is really what we need to have, and if we can add these other things, these ones, then fantastic, if it's within the price that we're comfortable with and what we can afford. And so once you know that, once you know what they're looking for, I'll go back to the example of the couple, then you can explain what your value proposition is and what you're going to do for them. It's not the same conversation you're going to have with an investor, and that's why you find out what they're looking for and really dig deep on that first before you present what you offer, because that's a different conversation.
I love that.
Go ahead.
Let me ask you a question. So I love that. One of our guests on the call sent a question in that said, why would anybody sign a buyer agreement with someone who's only been in this business for a week?
To me, the answer to that is, why wouldn't they? The reason for buyer's agency is, one, it gives them the fiduciary duties where you're protecting them and protecting their interests. You're negotiating on their behalf. When you work as a seller's agent, you have to look out for the seller. You owe the customer, the basic things that you owe them, but it's just a whole nother level of you're working for them when you are their buyer's agent. So really the better question is, why wouldn't they want to sign an agreement with you if you're able to present what it really does for them and the benefit to them? Because if you think about it, whether you're a seller's agent or you're a buyer's agent, you're going to get paid if you bring the contract to that house if it closes. The whole thing that changes, the dynamic that changes there, is whether or not the buyer has someone looking out for them or they don't. And that's why buyer's agency came into play in the first place, was it used to be buyer beware, and it doesn't have to be that anymore. And so really it is the better question to say, why wouldn't you sign it with them? Why wouldn't you explain to them how important it is to have their interests protected?
Yeah, I like to say that, if I take you on as a client, and this is the purpose of our meeting, I want you to know that I work exclusively with you, and I would hope that you would be okay working exclusively with me, because it's very difficult if we work as a committee, because you won't get what you need and I won't get compensated for the time I spend with you. So you're okay working exclusively, and the client will sign the agreement. It's very, very simple to get a buyer agreement if you have the confidence in your ability to truly help them.
Exactly. And just,
yeah.
I'm sorry, bro, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
Okay. And some of the things just to remember is, or some easy scripts. These are some scripts that we use in it. Is, you want to make sure you're selling your service, because it's not about finding them a home. It's about providing that service to them. Like I said, that fiduciary duty to them. And so it's, you're not. We always say, I'm not trying to sell you on a particular home. I am going to sell you on our service. You pick the home, and we're going to help you buy it at the best price and terms. Fair enough? There's that question that Mark referred to, and the answer is always like, well, yeah, of course that's fair. Why wouldn't it be? And you also want to set expectations with them for the home search. Some buyers feel like they have to look at 50 homes in order to find the house they want, and they just don't. That's actually doing them a disservice, and it's doing you a disservice as well. And so, this is where you talk about the wants and needs. Is if I'm able to listen properly to what you're saying and you articulate what your needs really are, I expect we'll find the home you want to buy within the first 5 homes we look at. If we find that that's not happening, then we have a problem, and so we'll ask more questions to reevaluate your needs. Does that work for you?
Fair enough. I think that's great. I love objections, Sarah. When I saw the overcoming objection slides, I get goosebumps.
You know, I actually used overcoming objections today talking to a client that was really you got to figure out what the real objection is and just isolate it. You know, say they're like, well, we're just not sure we want to sign with you because, you know, we're not sure there's a house on the market for us right now. Well, they're not going to know that unless they go look. And so other than, other than the concern that we might not find a house for you, is there any other reason you wouldn't want to sign this today to make your advocate and agent? Again, the answer is probably going to be no. So as long as you can really, again, listen to understand and then isolate that objection, you take it out of the equation, and they're able to look at it and be like, oh, yeah, that really makes sense. Just go ahead and sign this agreement. And remind them, you know, and maybe not everyone does this, but I see no reason not to do this. We always let them know they can back out at any time if they're not happy with what we're offering them, because we know we're going to wow them. We know that we are providing exceptional service and follow-up. We know our numbers. We know our market, so they're not ever going to need a reason to back out.
I like that. It sounds natural. Have you said that a few times?
Just once or twice, yeah.
Whoops, my fingers just stopped my slide. Let me go back to it real quick. There we go. Get that back on the screen. Sarah, when someone says another agent will do it for less, how do you respond to that? And I'm going to ask you to answer that, and then I'm going to ask Julie to answer it as well. Another agent came in, and they said they could sell my house for less than, you know, the percentage you're saying.
Well, what I would say to that is, wow, that's you know, and I usually use the same thing Mark used. Well, you usually get what you pay for. And if they're so willing to discount their commission so quickly, how do you think they're going to be at the negotiating table when it's time to negotiate a contract on your house?
Yeah, they're going to give my money away.
Right. It's, you know, if they just give money away so quickly. And another thing that you can say, too, that it really depends on who I'm talking to. If I'm talking to someone who's really into, you know, what the service package is that we're offering, usually what works too is to say, look, we're doing all these great things for you. You're going to have a Matterport tour. You're going to have your own website. We're going to do just listed cards to 100 of your neighbors. We're going to hold open houses and do door knocking. And all of these things are paid for by the commission you pay us. So what are we going to not do to expose your home in order to sell it? And so really you explain it to them that they're going to lose exposure, possibly leave money on the table by losing that exposure. And they're like, oh, that's silly. For a couple $1,000 to save, to lose 10. It's a math problem.
That's so true. Julie, how do you respond to the another agent will do it for less objection?
Oh, bless their hearts. No, sometimes I do say that. In the South, I can get away with it. Usually I say very similar to what Mark spoke about and Sarah talked about, but I bring it down to their net. I say, well, what's more important to you, the commission you pay? And I don't actually call it a commission. I call it a brokerage fee. It sounds like you can't talk me out of it as much. But what's more important, the amount of the brokerage fee that you pay or the net that you receive? And now let's take a look at that. And I usually have the multiple listing service up. I say, well, let's see how many properties this person that said they can charge less sells. Okay, and let's pull up how many that we've been able to help people get on with their plans. Well, now what do you think? Which team do you want to be on? I just leave it at that.
Yeah, you know, it's really easy to work. You know, with price objections, it's really interesting. And I'll say to my clients that ask for a discount, I'll say, you know, if I can't effectively negotiate for myself, how can you expect me to negotiate for you? And sometimes just a simple dialogue like that will be just as powerful as some of the more wordy ones that we use. Remember, what they want is they want to sell their home. Oftentimes, they just ask for a break on commission just because that's their nature, not because they really want one. And sometimes you just have to smile and say, oh, I wish I could, but I can't. And they go, okay, and then you move on. So sometimes we overthink the problem to find out what that real concern is when it comes down to overcoming objections and resolving concerns. Julie, your ability to go in, and really all three of you, because you have great market share, and you can say, you know, I sell this many houses in this short period of time, and on average our houses sell for a higher percentage, that works really well for you. But for an agent who's newer, that's going to have to compete against an agent that has that kind of data, they can't rely on their personal stats to be able to overcome the objections, can they?
No, not at all. And I think one of the, yeah, and I think Sarah had the one in that that just says, well, you know, if they can't even negotiate their own fee, what in the heck are they going to do with your equity?
Yep, that's right. And there's a lot of fun questions that are on the message board. If you have a question or objection you'd like to hear one of our guests overcome or answer, throw it on the board and we'll get it up there for you today.
Hey, Burl, yeah, on that commission thing, you know what we started to do, I learned this at a seminar, we now just ask for 1% more than we usually ask for. It's now standard on everything. It's just higher. So when they want to do some sort of commissionectomy, we're still higher than the other person, but now that they think that they got something, occasionally just because they think they got something, we're still higher than we really thought we were going to get in the first place. So all our commission agreements all start 1% higher than what we were normally taking 6 months ago.
Yeah, beautiful. That's beautiful. There are a lot of great scripts. Who can take me through the LP Mama script? Who knows that script real well? What does LP Mama stand for?
Location, price, motivation, agent, mortgage, appointment.
Location, price, motivation, working with an agent, qualify for a mortgage, and set the appointment. We practice that script thousands of times, and the reason that I believe scripts are so important is because I believe that repetition creates mastery, and when you have mastery, the script then becomes a dialogue, and it no longer sounds canned. And the more you go over it, the better you get at it. There are literally dozens of great scripts, and we've put them all together as a free gift. That you can go to workmansuccess.com/scripts and download all of this phenomenal content. Whoops, sorry, let me fix this again. All this phenomenal content from our guests today. I want to share with you this. Let me just scroll to the end of this real quick. Normally I'm in a different environment where I have all of my stuff right in front of me, and it's not the same today. So thanks for bearing with me. Hey, Tim, any questions for our guests from you today? What do you think about the scripts and the thought they put into overcoming objections and getting buyer agreements signed and keeping their price?
Well, I have a motto here on the floor, follow the script. And I think, you know, one of the first guest speakers was talking about how once a week they discuss their scripts and they go their different scenarios. And, you know, what's really great about the script is that you follow it to open people up during your sales process. You know, it just applies in any business. You know, nobody wants to obviously buy from a robot, but, you know, when we take the script, we learn it front and back. I think today was really great in terms of insight, how they're able to provide the path to a successful sales process. So I think there's no questions on my end, but I really loved how everybody shared today, and you know the feedback was great.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Let me give a couple questions that have come in from the message board. A brand new agent that feels overwhelmed with all the scripts, and they really just don't know how to get the confidence to get their momentum going. What would you suggest for them? I'll let Mark, you take that first, and then Sarah.
That's a great question, but the easiest way to do it is get a role-play partner, and don't worry about memorizing 26 of them. Worry about memorizing 3, and then when you memorize 3, go to the next 3. And you may jump around a little bit because now you're in front of a certain client or a certain situation, you got hit with an objection and you didn't know how to handle it, and you're looking at your little objection thing and say, oh, there it is, gee, I wish I had that when I was with this client. So you didn't have it, but now learn it now. So just get a role-play partner or 2 role-play partners and just start. Don't do all 26 or 30 or 40. Do 3, then 3, and keep going.
Excellent. Sarah, what would you give? What kind of advice would you give?
It's almost the same as Mark's, because what I found is if you know one script, you can usually tweak it to apply to many situations. And so the key is to really just pick some really important ones, know a few different ways that you can apply it, and just practice those. Yes, get a role play partner, be it somebody in your office, or you can, if you have a friend on Facebook that's a real estate agent across the country doing the same thing, you schedule a phone call once a week and you commit to it and do it. But practice is really a key, and yeah, just pick a few key ones, know how to apply them, and then just keep adding to your knowledge. But practice, 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 because really the whole point of a script is you want to be able to spit it out so well that you don't even realize you're using a script anymore. It's just natural dialogue.
I appreciate the feedback that you're all giving, and as a company, as I look at the real estate industry, I feel my personal agenda is to increase the quality of the agents that we have serving the consumer, so that we are rated much higher in the eyes of the consumer as a professional organization, and that's real estate. And I believe that it's the barrier to entry to real estate is so low, but nobody really teaches them how to be great salespeople. And that's my mission, is to help people become great salespeople. And I believe that it's by providing great service, by knowing what to say and how to say it, and then helping them get out of their own way and move to that amazing place where they're actually buying a home. Julie, let me ask you this question. What would you say to a renter that you want to convert to a buyer?
Well, I just asked them why do they want to keep paying somebody else's mortgage when they could be growing equity for themselves? Could they just tell me a little bit more about that?
Such a simple, easy thing to do.
Well, one of the things that, scripts and dialogues are absolutely wonderful, but it's like the songs, if you practice them enough, they're like the songs in your head. I mean, you can hear a song on the radio and you're going to be singing it right along with that. And why? Because you liked that song and you wanted to sing it. And so just, learn your scripts like that, and also remember that we're speaking with people who have needs. And this is not only, hundreds of thousands of dollars that they're spending, but it's also a place they're going to live their life, raise their children, make and grow memories. And just you need to help them, because everybody on this call, the only reason you're on this call is because you want to be successful in helping people. And just go to the next level. And when they ask you a question, don't stick to the script. Go, why'd you ask that? Can you tell me more about that? Oh, I understand. And then segue back into your script.
I love that. Somebody asked a great question, and I'm going to address this one. And it says, it sounds like teams dominate real estate. Is there a place for a sole practitioner? And the reason I want to answer that is because I believe we're all teams. You may be a sole practitioner, but you have a mortgage partner, you have a title partner, and you have a broker owner, and you have all of these people that are interested in your success. And you don't have to be a team to be successful. You can utilize all of those partners to help you with your scripts and dialogues, to be your accountability partner, to help you become better at your craft and more knowledgeable at the business. And so, no, everything we're talking about here today can work with an individual agent or a team. Personally, I believe teams create better lifestyles for the people that are involved in them, because it doesn't require you to do all the aspects of a transaction. And that's why we focus so heavily on coaching so many of the successful teams in the country. And Mark, I'm going to ask you this question, because I think it's addressed at me, but I'm not going to answer it. It says, what do you think sets you apart from your competitors, like, the Ferries or Buffini or the other coaches that are out there? So, Mark, why don't you take a stab at that?
So basically, what does Workman bring based on Buffini or any of those others?
Yeah, what do we do that's different?
I just think it's more personalized, and it's definitely more personalized. It's definitely more systemized, and it's also the only people that are coaching are people who are currently practicing real estate now. People aren't hired to coach who've never done real estate or failed at real estate. Now they got to do something. Oh, I'll coach. So everybody who's on the coach of the Workman, they're active doing it now. We're hitting some of the same walls that a lot of our clients are hitting now, or we hit them in the past and we fixed them, and now we found other ways to do them. And I think that's incredibly different than any other coaching companies that I've seen out there.
Well, I appreciate it. A lot of good comments and a lot of good scripts. I want to thank everybody for being on the call today. I'm getting a couple of messages that the workmansuccess.com/scripts link may not be working. If that's the case, we will send you all an email with the link to download a copy of this webinar and a direct link to be able to go in and download the scripts and the gifts from today's call. You can also sign up for a free business consult and learn how you can participate in a program called BAM, which is a Buyer Agent Mastery program where we practice scripts and dialogues every single Thursday. On behalf of RISMedia's ACE, Automated Content Engagement, you got to check that out. Homes.com, Outbound Engine, and Workman Success Systems. A big thank you to Julie and Mark and Sarah. Thank you all for being here. I love you guys. Have an amazing rest of 2016 as we're headed into our best year ever in 2017. Talk to you all soon.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.